Alright, I decided I need to keep a journal entry at least a little bit of my dogs. Like, look, over here. Goldie, come here. Gee, Craig, Goldie. I know you were right there. See? You're good, baby. Well, you're a good dog, baby. You're a good dog, baby. Dog, baby. Alright. Well, I wish I could just like put my journal entry on pause, but I feel like, I needed to make one more significant journal entry. Because this is a whole new idea for me again, being involved in Facebook. And it's kind of like, Facebook used to be the place I used to put my pictures and stuff. But the thing is, I hardly ever go looking back at pictures and stuff anyway. It's not like when I was a kid and we had a picture book and we liked to look at it, open it up at nighttime or something, or when my cousins came over or something like that, or I went over to their house and looked at their picture books, open up the picture book and look at it and laugh about times that you did in the past and all that, Or you could even explain it. Like, if I went over to my cousin's house or something, they'd tell me about, everything they did. And so, I realized that when I first got back onto Facebook, or not when I first got back on it, like when I first actually got introduced to Facebook. Because see, first in my actual upbringing with the internet of social media, it started with MySpace. And I knew people that were on MySpace, and I think I even might have got a MySpace account or something. But I don't really... I put some pictures, I think, on MySpace too. Because MySpace was supposed to be like, like your space, like you could keep and put stuff and everything. Even though it had to be public, you could still choose who to share it with or whatever. But you could have a space. And then Facebook came along and MySpace disappeared. I wasn't into it all that much anyway, but some people were. And now I learned that Facebook was like a place to put pictures and stuff. I could just file dump them there, and keep them there. And they wouldn't be deleted. But then it became into like a more of a person-to-person kind of deal, like social media and stuff, which it was always that. And now the person who kind of initiated the whole thing from the beginning, Mark Zuckerberg, okay, granted, he did a lot of service for a lot of people. But now he's like a king. And it's not only that, along with the king comes the entitlement to the control of the algorithm. And since Facebook is a social kind of media, then it has an algorithm. An algorithm controls everything, okay, about how stuff is related, and it's not hard to figure that stuff out. I mean, like, I took a little bit of programming my own self, Visual Basic and C, and stuff that I kind of only, kind of know, like I know algebra, and it's really not all that much. Okay, but there's languages and stuff like that, and they kind of dictate in the background, what's going to be. And these are programs. And we got a lot of programs and institutions, okay, especially in America. And one of the institutions, the Supreme Court, look, this is some phenomenal news right here. Trump ferociously enraged after Supreme Court justice publicly told him that if they say he's got to come to court and talk, he's got to come to court and talk. They can't defy the court's order, because sometimes he would have his lawyers supposed to be going in for him, and then they wouldn't even show up. Okay, and he could just continuously defies the law. And so finally, when it finally came down to the Supreme Court, and this is Justice Roberts, who is the head of the Supreme Court, and he is not like a liberal kind of person. Like he's not going to be the kind of person, who's voting to make freedom rights for gay people and stuff like that. I don't think. And there's a bunch of people that are real conservative like him, and I don't know if he's a science denier or not, but some people don't even really believe in science. They believe somehow that this place is a magical kind of place, and it just exists by magic. So they don't have to pay attention to the science. But what I'm saying is that what I was thinking about, and this is for I'm really trying to be succinct in my journal entry, but I was thinking about my cousin Dina, and the locket of truth, and I had given more thought about that locket of truth, because that locket of truth is also like the scientific method. And okay, because it's first-hand knowledge. Okay, the locket of truth actually is first-hand knowledge. That's what that means, and that's what I explained kind of when and I just discovered this actually for myself. I didn't give any thought about this in advance or nothing, and it just kind of unfolded. That's like a lot of stuff in life does before our eyes. It unfolds and takes us by surprise, and sometimes it's like we're an observer of the whole kind of movie. They have a passive element, we're watching it, but we also have an active element where actually it's stuff that we're actually doing and getting involved in, and it lasts a long time, and we go through a lot of changes. Well, such is the case. I have my stories of origin from when I was a child that I know are true, okay? And I know when I walked into, say, my Aunt Jackie and Uncle Dave's house where my cousin Dina was, and I can remember a couple different houses, and I ain't gonna disclose everything, but I do know, and I even know what towns. I remember the cars. I remember what the cars were like. Look, I remember what it was like, even for example, going up into my cousin Doug's room with him, and then he showed me his stuff, like his knife. Look, I remember with his dad changing a tire one time. I don't know where Doug was. I was there, but maybe Doug had to go to school or something, because sometimes my school break, when we would go to visit, would not correlate, be in line with the other place. That's all in Wisconsin. I can say that much. And look, Anyway, when I was changing that tire with him, man, the lug wrench slipped off, man. It was one of them four-way. I think it was I don't remember if it was a four-way lug or just a regular straight one coming out like this or what. But I was supposed to be turning it. I was helping him. It slipped off and hit him in the knuckle. The wrench, it was four-way. That's why. It went over, hit him in the knuckle. Like, I don't even know. Like, I was a little kid. Like, he's telling me, like, you know, like how to change a tire. Which I could hardly even turn that thing. And it hit him in the knuckle, and the knuckle started bleeding. And look, he was kind of a big drinker, and plus, you know, he didn't care about, you know, people's feelings. Nothing like that. And my cousin Dina would know also what I'm saying is true. So, but the idea, you know, is that we have first-hand knowledge, and that is a lack of the truth. And see, when people understand they have a common place holder, like it's a place in your memory, it's a holder, you know. And plus now even they say, you know, actually what they're saying is our memories are actually not even actually in the gray matter of our brain. They're like out here resonating. Okay, it's information. The stuff that they're understanding today is phenomenal. But nothing could be more true because, like, people have out-of-body experiences. I mean, there's people that actually, you know, the government uses them that are astral projectors. They actually exist. And the government uses them. And there's also people that die and, you know, they might get resuscitated, like, in time for their brain not to be already completely, like, dead from lack of oxygen. I think it takes, like, man, I thought it only took, like, you know, like between 5 and 7 minutes and you get brain damage. But I don't know how they do it, but some people stay dead for a while and they come back to life. Okay, and even in the times when they're even like, okay, like just died and then, you know, float out of their body and then like watch, you know, people in the surgery room, you know, a woman might be having a baby, they get the baby, save the baby, the mother dies and she's dead for a few minutes, but you know, they resuscitate her. Or it could be something other else, but in a lot of cases people see what's going on and their brains were completely like shut down. Like there was no synaptic flashes like going on that could be detected inside their brain. Okay, but the consciousness still existed. And it's so documented, man. It's documented a lot. And people have been studying like this kind of stuff ever since the beginning of the records as far back as we can go. And now they even also say that we go back a lot farther than actually what we think we go. Well, if you're considering like unending time and stuff like that, man, no kidding. Well, but it all kind of comes down to, you know, the locket of truth. And it's your first-hand knowledge, your personal experience, you know, and shared personal experience, okay? And people write that stuff down. Like, there's even people that try to, like, say that, like, the Holocaust, like, didn't happen. And even this president of the United States of America is trying to, like, make the Smithsonian and stuff like that not say certain things about our past so we get a different kind of idea about it and stuff, you know. Like, not write down everything and not be honest, you know, embellish it, like, you know, like Embellishing is a good word, and it's like a negative word. Because, like, if you're an artist, you embellish, you know, you paint it in and stuff. But if you're a con artist, okay, you embellish with lies. And so, see, there was something important. I was thinking about my cousin Sandy. And I am coming out from my Facebook new experience and my cousin Dina. And so, it's kind of like bringing distant reality into a perspective, like tuning it in like with the binoculars or something, or a telescope. You gotta turn the dial, get it tuned in. So you can see kind of according to what the handshake is between your eyeball and that lens that you're seeing through. And remember, the Apostle Paul always said we see through a lens darkly. But that lens that we see through, and there's different things navigating like if the world, society, and everything was like a ship on the sea, or ships on the sea. Some of them passing each other in the night. But like a ship on the sea, rocking. And since I was in the Navy, it's kind of a good, easy metaphor for me to think of, because I know what the big waves are. Man, I've seen some big waves. I'm talking about like stuff like you can't even imagine. Okay. Well, I want to think about the picture in my head, what it looked like as I remember. It's like, how do you even think that you ever could like stay alive? And this happens all over the world, because like, look, I'm looking over here. Look, and let's see, Rachel Maddow over there, okay? And there's President Putin, or whatever he is, way out there on the far corner of my screen, and a lot of smoke and flames coming up. And I know because I've seen it before. Moscow got bombed. Okay, well, good for them. I guess they're not as tough as they made themselves out to be. Like, I thought Putin could just go into Ukraine and just wipe them out, but evidently not. So, but the stuff is, it's bad for us, because like when we dial in and everything, and then you got the president dialing in, and he has like a contrary kind of disposition to like the rest of the human race in America ever since 1776. I mean, I don't understand his rationale, but it's not based on values that I have, because like I would side with Ukraine, not Russia. Look, and that's it. So, but right now, Trump is furiously enraged after Supreme Court justices publicly, put him in his place. They give him a lot of permission and leeway and everything, with presidential power and all that kind of stuff. But they're saying the buck stops where we say it stops now. And they're giving him a lot of leeway, but now obviously they're saying no, you can't override the court. No. Okay, so this is why I can bring this journal entry to a close. Still wasn't exactly sure But I am going to go out there and start, because I got the material now to work on my climbing wall and everything. But I did feel like this is very important because my cousin Sandy, and I keep getting sidetracked from her, you know, because it seemed like after she died, at least I was told she died, and I got connected to her on Facebook, and I had to go through the same kind of, like, is this really you? And then of course, you know, we knew the same stuff, so it was really her. And then I had a relationship with her on Facebook, a live relationship, you know, and even talked to her on, might have even talked to her on the phone, I don't know, but it started with Facebook. But then after she died, I seen somebody used her profile. Yeah. And I figured, well, it has to be one of her kids or something, you know. I never looked into it, but there's mysterious stuff like that goes on. And people, and like I said before, you know, my own stepbrother Jack, you know, he didn't even know anything. He didn't unlock it of truth. See, he couldn't unlock that. He couldn't unlock that lock of the truth. And I was just thinking about her, and now that I'm on Facebook again, and the thing is that like, even I have a lot of dead friends, all right, and they're on Facebook. I don't like, well, and since I haven't been on Facebook, I can't really say, you know, like, I know, like, you know, Mark, for example, I know, like, nobody's, you know, putting out posts from his profile. But it seems like from Sandy they did. And with my own brother Jack, I mean, that was fake. So there's a lot of fake stuff. And you know, the thing is about when you get fake stuff, like, especially if someone's like pretending to be somebody that was actually kind of a specialty or something. Okay, well then, oh man, that like is a kind of a cut, like a feel like an internal violation. And that's the kind of violation, see, that the person will say no. And not only no, but hell no. Hell no. No, you don't. And that's why my sign out there, you know, part of it's going to be dung, butter, and dildo. Because, like, saying, like, you know, okay, somebody pushing something right up your ass, and you say, no, you don't. Like a sexual kind of abuse. I'm just saying. Because that's the worst kind. And that's why the whole thing, you know, about, you know, girls from Jeffrey Epstein and everything like that. Everybody knows that that's outrageous. So, that's what it stands for. I'm going to put it on my sign. Up your ass. You can just stick it right up your ass. And the reason I say that is because I heard my mom say that one time, you know, up your ass. Somewhere, somehow. I know she said it. And so mostly you would only say something like that to a person who is fake. And that's what really irritates me about fake stuff. And so that's it, you know. I'm not sure actually where I was supposed to end on this, but I gotta end this thing now. And I'm just gonna call it fake stuff. But I am bringing my journal thing to a close. But the thing is, like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel certain things are really important to say. if anybody hears it or not.